Welcome back to Blue Sea Energy. Today, I want to talk about a report from the Sierra Club that questions if American utilities are really lowering their carbon footprint. But first, let me give you some background on the Sierra Club. According to William Driscoll from PV Magazine, it's an environmental organization specifically focused on fighting climate change, especially nowadays. Founded in 1892 in California by a group of thought leaders including John Muir, the group has fought to maintain the size of national parks, oppose damming important rivers, and to support some important environmental protection laws at the national level, per Britannica.com. These laws include some of the staples that protect our natural world, including the Wilderness Act, the Clean Air Act, and the National Environmental Protection Act that created our EPA. In this day and age, they continue to advocate at every level of government for laws and policies like the Inflation Reduction Act that protect our planet and provide a safer world for us and our children. So it's no surprise that they put out a scathing report this month on America's utilities. As expected, public opinion has been shifting away from fossil fuels and towards renewables in the past few decades, especially among younger people like myself. And of course, a lot of utilities deal with this kind of public pressure by claiming to phase out fossil fuels and replace them with non polluting sources. But are these claims holding any water? According to the report, not even close. The authors, Kara Fogler and Noah Verbeek, looked at each privately owned utility in the country, giving each a percentage score and a letter grade based on that. The equation they used to find the scores accounts for planned renewables, plans to retire coal, and plans to incorporate new natural gas generation. You can pause to dig deeper into the equation if you'd like. Unfortunately, out of the 75 utilities they tested, only 6 got an A. Those utilities are in the West and Midwest, and they're up on screen for you to read. As far as the others, the average grade among all those companies was a D, and more utilities got an F than a B. 16 scored a B, while a whopping 28 were rated F. On a side note, I'd like to give a shout out to Puget Sound Energy in Washington State, where I live. Not only are they rated B, but I've listened to a few talks from them, and it sounds like they're really committed to bringing more renewables online and eventually phasing out natural gas. I should mention, though, that they'd need to do this anyway. Under the state's Climate Commitment Act, they'd need to cut their emissions in half by 2030 and by 95% by 2050. So the driving factor of this phase out is probably legislation. Also, it's hard to believe that utilities in other states are still running on coal, especially with how inefficient it is, even compared to other fossil fuels. In fact, only 30% of the utilities studied in the report plan to retire their coal by 2030. At the same time, only 10 of them plan to cut their emissions by 80%. So, how can utilities, especially in states with more lax climate laws, get a higher rating and more karma with us? Well, Driscoll writes that the recommendations in the report include incorporating rigorous modeling to account for energy sources and transmission in an integrated way, as well as portraying renewable options more realistically in light of the real drawbacks of fossil fuels, and considering funds from the Inflation Reduction Act in their modeling. The advocacy group also recommends more transparency in planning in general, considering all sources during the procurement process, increasing interconnection, and working with local government and community stakeholders to bring more renewables online. And what can we do as people watching this video? Well, we're all stakeholders of at least one utility, if we're connected to the grid, that is. And as long as climate change stays a threat, everyone living here on this earth is a stakeholder in these American utilities' actions. So check out the report for yourself. It's in the description. And if your utility has a D or F, try reaching out to them, especially on social media, and cite that report. Customer pressure can be a huge motivator to change. Better yet, form a community action group in your area to advocate for the switch to renewables. The more people for your cause, the better. And if you work for a utility yourself, why not advocate for change from within when possible? You might have access to decision makers that very few people do. Finally, campaigning for climate legislation is one of the most effective things you can do, as we see here in Washington. Research your state's climate laws, if any, and if possible, get together a group of like minded advocates. After all, most of us care about having a safe future. Thanks everyone for watching this video, and a special thank you to my subscribers. If you'd like to subscribe, please feel free to click the subscribe button below the video or the Blue Sea Energy logo on the bottom right. And don't forget to like this video and click the bell for notifications too. Also, if you've missed it, I made a video about types of lithium-ion batteries. It's on the bottom left. Of course, I hope you all have a great day and stay positive.